Okay, it's going to be one of them, is it? Right, okay. No. Okay, so welcome to book club. Uh, Today with added adverts. I hope everybody can hear me now. So today we're going to be running ad breaks in the stream, as opposed to pre-rolls. So when people drop in, they don't have to sit through adverts before they actually get to see the stream. Hopefully, this won't be too intrusive. And also, hopefully, we'll all get notification in chat when there's an ad break about to come up. So, with a bit of luck, we won't have that horrible situation where I'm carrying on chatting and you guys can neither see nor hear me. It's supposed to only be 3 minutes of ads per hour, so it shouldn't be too intrusive. Ow, sorry. So yeah, fingers crossed, and it's a little bit experimental. So I apologise if this week is a bit weird, weirder than normal. So this week for book club, we are reading The Phoenix and the Carpet more. And hello, Lexia. It's lovely to have you, and indeed Hiram. If you run ads in stream, you get, I think, 55% of the ad revenue, and if you run it as a pre-roll, you get 30%. I think this works out to about 10p for me. Obviously, you know, your mega streamers, that's huge amounts of money for them. But it's more that apparently a lot of people don't like sitting through the pre-rolls. So people who might otherwise watch land, see adverts are running as pre-rolls, and then they just go away. You were wondering when the double drop was from, completely missing you had YouTube open. That's actually quite a comfort that it is going out on YouTube, so I'm happy about that. So, Chapter 7, The Children Are Starting Unaccompanied. In public. I can only imagine that this is going to go entirely well. Chapter 7, Muse from Persia. When you hear that the 4 children found themselves at Waterloo Station, quite untaken care of, and with no one to meet them, it may make you think that their parents were neither kind nor careful. But if you think this, you will be wrong. The fact is, Mother arranged with Aunt Emma that she was to meet the children at Waterloo, when they went back from their Christmas holiday at Lyndhurst. You're hopeful they can't set fires in public, at least. Bear in mind, at least one of them carries a matchbox. And the other one, I think, has candles or something, based on last session. When they were in the caves, they had the ability to make fire. They now have portable ability to make fire. Be afraid. Yeah, I did that. I picked the fire tablet that had the ads and the lower price. It depends how they're done. It can work out well, Lexi. Sometimes it can be really, really intrusive. But yeah, apparently it's a thing that people who don't like the pre-rolls don't mind sitting through them once they've hit the stream, but they don't like them in advance before they even get to decide whether they want to watch the streamer. The numbers are ridiculous. It's something daft, like 60% of people will tap out during the pre-rolls. And here we go. So this is it. They don't get that far. Can I ask, if people can still hear me, what kind of adverts are running? because we're in an ad break. Okay. Subscribers are immune to ads. I completely forgot I did that. Many apologies there. That's me being that's me being daft. I completely forgot. You're not a sub at the moment though. Oh, okay. Now I'm confused. You guess McDonald's is the only one that wants to advertise to Romania. Oh. Um so yeah, it's supposed to use the ads below and to the side of the stream. But yeah, somebody really just needs to wake me up today. I was going to monitor it on the Twitch app. 'Cause I am a fool. What a silly drutty. US streamers will almost certainly get ads, UK, EU less so. Fair enough. Unfortunately, I can't watch my own stream because I counter-subscribe to my own channel. Okay, fine. Well, it'll come up again at some point. It's got 24 seconds left to run, but if nobody's really seeing it because you're all subscribed, stuff it, I'll restart. Oh, thank you, Hiram. That's lovely. And Geiger's gone ever. Oh my gosh, that's a ghost belly dancing. Well, there's an image. That is definitely a look. You've been online so long, you only look at the centre of the page. Yeah, I filter ads mentally. It's only when they do something really objectively horrible, like running 10 minutes of ads because I think someone's ad break got stuck. I had to sit through the Final Destination trailer 3 times. That was not fun. Okay, Chapter 7, Muse from Persia. Restart. When you hear that the 4 children found themselves at Waterloo Station quite untaken care of and with no one to meet them, it may make you think that their parents were neither kind nor careful. But if you think this, you will be wrong. The fact is, Mother arranged with Aunt Emma that she was to meet the children at Waterloo when they came back from their Christmas holiday at Lyndhurst. The train was fixed, but not the day. Then Mother wrote to Aunt Emma, giving her careful instructions about the day and the hour and about luggage and cabs and things, and gave the letter to Robert to post. But the hounds happened to meet near Rufus Stone that morning, and what's more, on the way to the meet they met Robert, and Robert met them, and instantly forgot all about posting Aunt Emma's letter, and never thought of it again, until he and the others had wandered 3 times up and down the platform at Waterloo, which makes 6 in all, and had bumped against old gentlemen and stared in the faces of ladies and been shoved by people in a hurry and by your leave by porters with trucks, and were quite sure that Aunt Emma was not there. Then suddenly the true truth of what he had forgotten to do came home to Robert, and he said, "Oh, crikey," and stood still with his mouth open, and let a porter with a Gladstone bag in each hand and a bundle of umbrellas under one arm blunder heavily into him, and never so much as said, Where are you shoving to now?" or "Look out where you're going, can't you?" The heavier bag smote him at the knee, and he staggered, but he said nothing. When the others understood what was the matter, I think they told Robert what they thought of him. "We must take the train to Croydon," said Anthea, "and find Aunt Emma." "Yes," said Cyril, "and precious pleased those Jevonses will be to see us and our traps." Aunt Emma, indeed, was staying with some Jevonses, very prim people. They were middle-aged and wore very smart blouses, and they were fond of matinees and shopping, and they did not care about children. "I know Mother would be pleased to see us if we went back," said Jane. "I think you're overstating your appeal there, Jane." "Yes, she would, but she'd think it was not right to show she was pleased, because it's Bob's fault we've not met." "Don't I know that sort of thing?" said Cyril. "Besides, we've no tin. No, we've got enough for a growler among us. I beg your pardon, sir?" "But not enough for tickets to the New Forest. We must just go home. They won't be so savage when they find we've really got home all right. You know Auntie was only going to take us home in a cab." "I believe we ought to go to Croydon," Anthea insisted. "Oh, good to hear that, Hiram. Have good sushi." Well, Aunt Emma would be out to a dead cert," said Robert. Those Jevonses get to go to the theatre every afternoon, I believe. Besides, there's the Phoenix at home and the carpet. I votes we call the four-wheeled cabman." A four-wheeled cabman was called. His cab was one of the old-fashioned kind with straw in the bottom, and he was asked by Anthea to drive them very carefully to their address. This he did, and the price he asked for doing so was exactly the value of the gold coin Grandpapa had given Cyril for Christmas. This cast a gloom, but Cyril would never have stooped to argue with a cab fare, for fear the cabman should think he was not accustomed to take cabs whenever he wanted them. You've known these children for 2 minutes and you're already mashing the adopt button. Oh, they're little arsonists. They're wonderful, but they are little arsonists. That's what I need to do. Better. For a reason that was something like this, he told the cabman to put the luggage on the steps and waited till the wheels of the growler had grittily retired before he rang the bell. "You see," he said, with his hand on the handle, "we don't want Cook and Eliza asking us before him how it is we've come home alone, as if we were babies." Here he rang the bell, and the moment its answering clang was heard, everyone felt that it would be some time before that bell was answered. The sound of a bell is quite different somehow when there's anyone inside the house who hears it. I can't tell you why that is, but so it is. "I expect they're changing their dresses," said Jane. "Too late," said Anthea. "It must be past 5. I expect Eliza's gone to post a letter and Cook's gone to see the time." Cyril rang again, and the bell did its best to inform the listening children that there really was no one human in the house. They rang again and listened intently. The hearts of all sank low. It's a terrible thing to be locked out of your own house on a dark, muggy January evening. "There's no gas on anywhere," said Jane in a broken voice. "I expect they've left the gas on once too often, and the draft blew it out, and they've suffocated in their beds. Father always said they would some day," said Robert cheerfully. "We have issues with Robert." Actually, we have issues with all these kids. Robert, really, I suspect, is the one who's going to grow up to be a serial killer. Possibly a politician. "Let's go and fetch a policeman," said Anthea, trembling. "And be taken up for trying to be burglars? No, thank you," said Cyril. "I heard Father read out of the paper about a young man who got into his own mother's house, and they got him made out as a burglar only the other day." January can be muggy, especially here. We get the really cold weather around Easter, Kate. Just when everybody else is thinking, "Oh, yes, summer's coming, it's going to be spring, it's going to be nice," and suddenly snow. That's our usual standard. "I only hope the gas hasn't hurt the Phoenix," said Anthea. "It said it wanted to stay in the bathroom cupboard, and I thought it would be all right because the servants never clean that out." But if it's gone and gone out and been choked by gas, and besides, directly we open the door, we shall be choked too. I knew we ought to have gone to Aunt Emma at Croydon. Oh, Squirrel, I wish we had. Let's go now. Shut up, said her brother briefly. There's someone rattling the latch inside. Everyone listened with all its ears, and everyone stood back as far from the door as the steps would allow. The latch rattled and clicked. Then the flap of the letterbox lifted itself. Everyone saw it by the flickering light of the gas lamp that shone through the leafless lime tree by the gate. A golden eye seemed to wink at them through the letter slit, and a cautious beak whispered, "Are you alone?" "It's the Phoenix," said everyone, in a voice so joyous and so full of relief as to be sort of a whispered shout. "Hush," said the voice from the letterbox slit. "Your slaves have gone a merrymaking. The latch of this portal is too stiff for my beak, but at the side, the little side with window above the shelf whereon your bread lies, is not fastened." "Righto," said Cyril, and Anthea added, "I wish you'd meet us there, dear Phoenix." If there's a literal swarm of rats in the plague tale didn't deter you, you don't know what will. Oh, God, 28 there. Oh, good Lord, Kate. No, 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 no. Mind you, it's, I think it's high 20s here. We're in a heat wave, which is predicted to end in a sod-off great thunderstorm, so that's going to be fun. The children crept round to the pantry window. It's at the side of the house, and there's a green gate labelled Tradesman's Entrance, which is always kept bolted. But if you get 1 foot on the fence between you and next door, and 1 on the handle of the gate, you're over before you know where you are. This at least was the experience of Cyril and Robert, and even, if the truth must be told, of Anthea and Jane. So in almost no time all 4 were in the narrow gravelled passageway that leads between that house and the next. Then Robert made a back, and Cyril hoisted himself up and got his knickerbockered knee on the concrete windowsill. He dived into the pantry head first, as one dives into water, and his legs waved in the air as he went, just as your legs do when you're first beginning to learn to dive. The soles of his boots, squarish muddy patches, disappeared. "Give me a leg up," said Robert to his sisters. "No, you don't," said Jane firmly. "I'm not going to be left outside here with just Anthea, and have something creep up behind us out of the dark. Squirrel can go and open the back door." A light had sprung awake in the pantry. Cyril always said the Phoenix turned the gas on with its beak, and lighted it with a waft of its wing, but he was excited at the time, and perhaps he really did it himself with matches, and then forgot all about it. He let the others in by the back door, and when it had been bolted again, the children went all over the house and lighted every single gas jet they could find. Oh, there's no way this could go wrong. But they couldn't help feeling that this was just the dark, dreary winter's evening when an armed burglar might easily be expected to appear at any moment. There's nothing like light when you're afraid of burglars, or of anything else for that matter. And when all the gas jets were lighted, it was quite clear that the Phoenix had made no mistake, and that Eliza and Cook were really out, and that there was no one in the house except the 4 children and the Phoenix and the carpet, and the black beetles who lived in the cupboards on either side of the nursery fireplace. These last were very pleased that the children had come home again, especially when Anthea had lighted the nursery fire, but as usual the children treated the loving little black beetles with coldness and disdain. I know, gas is not free. Also, it's not safe. But, matches. Bear in mind, they started this enterprise by setting off fireworks in the nursery. I wonder whether you know how to light a fire. I don't mean how to strike a match and set fire to the corners of the paper in a fire someone has laid already, but how to lay and light a fire all by yourself. I will tell you how Anthea did it, and if ever you have to light one yourself, you may remember how it's done. First, she raked out the ashes of the fire that had burned there a week ago, for Eliza had actually never done this, though she had had plenty of time. In doing this, Anthea knocked her knuckle and made it bleed. Then she laid the largest and handsomest cinders in the bottom of the grate. Then she took a sheet of old newspaper. You ought never to light a fire with today's newspaper. It will not burn well, and there are other reasons against it. And tore it into 4 quarters and screwed each of those into a loose ball and put them on the cinders. Then she got a bundle of wood and broke the string and stuck the sticks in so that their front ends rested on the bars and the back ends on the back of the paper balls. In doing this, she cut her finger slightly with the string, and when she broke it, 2 of the sticks jumped up and hit her on the cheek. Anthea was having a rotten day. Then she put more cinders and some bits of coal, no dust. Put most of that on her hands, but there seemed to be enough left for her face. Then she lighted the edges of the paper balls and waited till she heard the fizz-crack-crack-fizz of the wood as it began to burn. Then she went and washed her hands and face under the tap in the back kitchen. Of course, you need not bark your knuckles, or cut your finger, or bruise your cheek with wood, or blacken yourself all over, but otherwise this is a very good way to light a fire in London. In the real country, fires are lighted in a different and prettier way. But it's always good to wash your hands and face afterwards, wherever you are. While Anthea was delighting the poor little black beetles with the cheerful blaze, Jane had set the table for, well, I was going to say tea, but the meal of which I am speaking was not exactly tea. Let's call it a tea-ish meal. There was tea, certainly, for Anthea's fire blazed and crackled so kindly that it really seemed to be affectionately inviting the kettle to come and sit upon its lap. So the kettle was brought and tea made, but no milk could be found, so everyone had 6 lumps of sugar to each cup instead. The things to eat, on the other hand, were nicer than usual. The boys looked about very carefully and found in the pantry some cold tongue, bread, butter, cheese, and part of a cold pudding. Very much nicer than cook ever made when they were at home. And in the kitchen cupboard was half a Christmas cake, a pot of strawberry jam, and about a pound of mixed candied fruit, with soft crumbly slabs of delicious sugar in each cup of lemon, orange, or citron. You love the children, but you're not kidding about the pyromaniac vibes. Oh, they are lethal. They are absolutely lethal. Apologies for drink noises. The phoenix perch... Oh, sorry. It was indeed, as Jane said, a banquet fit for an Arabian night. Wrong kind of night, dear. The phoenix perched on Robert's chair and listened kindly and politely to all they had to tell it about their visit to Lyndhurst. And underneath the table, by just stretching a toe down rather far, the faithful carpet could be felt by all, even by Jane, whose legs were very short. "Your slaves will not return tonight," said the phoenix. "They sleep under the roof of the cook's stepmother's aunt, who is, I gather, hostess to a large party tonight in honour of her husband's cousin's sister-in-law's mother's 90th birthday." "I don't think they ought to have gone without leave," said Anthea, "however many relations they have, or however old they are, but I suppose we ought to wash up." "It's not our business about the leave," said Cyril firmly, "but I simply won't wash up for them. We've got it, and we'll clear it away, and then we'll go somewhere on the carpet. It's not often we get a chance of being out all night, and we can go right away to the other side of the equator, to the tropical climes, and see the sun rise over the great Pacific Ocean." "Right well," said Robert. "Always did want to see the Southern Cross, and the stars as big as gas lamps." "Don't go," said Anthea very earnestly, "because I couldn't. I'm sure Mother wouldn't like us to leave the house, and I should hate to be left here alone." For them. "I'd stay with you," said Jane loyally. "I know you would," said Anthea gratefully, "but even with you, I'd much rather not." "Well," said Cyril, trying to be kind and amiable, "I don't want you to do anything you think's wrong, but—" He was silent. The silence said many things. "I don't see," Robert was beginning, when Anthea interrupted. "I'm quite sure. Sometimes you just think a thing's wrong, and sometimes you know. And this is a no time." The The phoenix turned kind golden eyes on her. Excuse me. Mm-hmm. Ahem. Sorry. The phoenix turned Phoenix turned kind golden eyes on her, and opened a friendly beak to say, "When it is, as you say, a no time, there is no more to be said, and your noble brothers would never leave you." "Of course not," said Cyril rather quickly, and Robert said so too. "I myself," the phoenix went on, "am willing to help in any way possible. I will go personally, either by carpet or on the wing, and fetch you anything you can think of to amuse you during the evening. In order to waste no time, I could go while you wash up. Why," it went on in a musing voice, "does one wash up teacups and wash down the stairs?" "You couldn't wash stairs up, you know," said Anthea, "unless you began at the bottom and went up feet first as you washed. I wish Cook would try that way for a change." Yeah. Um, yeah, sorry, it's kind of hot here. "I don't," said Cyril briefly. "I should hate the look of her elastic side boots sticking up." "This is mere trifling," said the phoenix. "Come, decide what I shall fetch for you. I can get you anything you like." Have I changed the on-screen chat setting? Yes. It's slightly larger, but it shouldn't be too bad. I take it it's a prob load. Yeah, it's a slightly larger font because it was very small. Font is larger, but it's cramped. Okay. Okay, cool. Right, that should be better. Our line separations are fair enough. That ought to be better. It's on 20 point now. It was on 18. And then I put it up to 24. So hopefully this is a compromise. Do let me know though. It might do. That's one I'll fiddle with, Lexi, between streams. But of course, they couldn't decide. Many things were suggested. A rocking horse, jewelled chessmen, an elephant, and bicycle and motor car, books with pictures, musical instruments, and many other things. But a musical instrument is agreeable only to the player unless he's learned to play really well. Books are not sociable. Bicycles cannot be ridden without going out of doors, and the same is true of motor cars and elephants. Only 2 people can play chess at once with one set of chessmen, and anyway it's very too much like lessons for a game. And only one can ride on a rocking horse. Suddenly, in the midst of the discussion, the phoenix spread its wings and fluttered to the floor, and from there it spoke. "I gather," it said, from the carpet, "that it wants you to let it go to its old home, where it was born and brought up, and it will return within the hour, laden with a number of the most beautiful and delightful products of its native land." What is its native land? I didn't gather, but since you can't agree and time is passing, and tea things are not washed down, I mean washed up. "I votes we do," said Robert. "It'll stop all this jaw anyway, and it's not bad to have surprises. Perhaps it's a turkey carpet and it might bring us Turkish delight." "Or a Turkish patrol," said Robert. "Or a Turkish bath," said Anthea. "Or a Turkish towel," said Jane. "Nonsense," Robert urged. "It's said beautiful and delightful, and towels and baths aren't that, however good they may be for you. Let it go. I suppose it won't give us the slip," he added, pushing back his chair and standing up. Yes, all of that does sound rather too big for a bird. I don't know quite what they're thinking with the elephant. "Hush," said the phoenix. "How can you? Don't trample on its feelings just because it's only a carpet." But how can it do it, unless one of us is on it to do the wishing? Asked Robert. He spoke with a rising hope that it might be necessary for one to go, and why not Robert? But the Phoenix quickly threw cold water on his newborn dream. Why, you just write your wish on a paper and pin it on the carpet. So a leaf was torn from Anthea's arithmetic book, and on it Cyril wrote in large round hand the following. We wish you to go to your dear native home and bring back the most beautiful and delightful productions of it you can, and not to be gone long, please. Signed, Cyril, Robert, Anthea, and Jane. Yeah. Oh, I'm glad you've got your dinner, Hiram. Pin it to put a hole in the carpet. Yes, apparently the carpet's into piercings. Then the paper was laid on the carpet. Writing down, please, said the Phoenix. The carpet can't read a paper whose back is turned to it any more than you can. I have questions. What is it using to read? It was pinned fast, and the table and chairs having been moved, the carpet simply and suddenly vanished, rather like a patch of water on a hearth under a fierce fire. The edges got smaller and smaller, and then it disappeared from sight. Carpet with style, it has piercings. Giving these kids a hole is the least damage it could expect. Yes! The carpet is very much in an abusive relationship with these kids. I mean, let's face it, it's been underwater when they kidnapped the cook, the previous cook, before abandoning her to rule over an island tribe. I say rule over, largely teach them to cook. It may take some time to collect the beautiful and delightful things, said the Phoenix. I should wash up. Wash down. So they did. There was plenty of hot water left in the kettle, and everyone helped, even the Phoenix, who took up cups by their handles with its clever claws and dipped them in the hot water, and then stood them on the table ready for Anthea to dry them. But the bird was rather slow, because, as it said, though it was not above any sort of honest work, messing about with dishwater was not exactly what it had been brought up to. Everything was nicely washed up and dried and put in its proper place, and the dishcloth washed and hung on the edge of the copper to dry, and the tea-cloth was hung on the line that goes across the scullery. If you're a duchess's child, or a king's, or a person of high social position's child, you will perhaps not know the difference between the dishcloth and the tea-cloth. But in that case, your nurse had been better instructed than you, and she will tell you all about it. I love this writing, I really do. And just as 8 hands and 1 pair of claws were being dried on the roller towel behind the scullery door, there came a very strange sound from the other side of the kitchen wall, the side where the nursery was. It was a very strange sound indeed, most odd, and unlike any other sounds the children had ever heard. At least they'd heard sounds as much like it as a toy engine's whistle is like a steam siren's. The carpet's come back, said Robert, and the others felt that he was right. What's it brought with it? Asked Jane. It sounds like Leviathan, that great beast. It couldn't have been made in India, and brought elephants. Even baby ones would be rather awful in that room, said Sybil. I vote we take it in turns to squint through the keyhole. You're so worried about anything involving a nursery and these little gremlins. They've only burnt it out once. No, actually, I think they burnt out the schoolroom and then got consigned to the nursery. The nursery, I think, is in the cellar. They did, in order of their ages. The Phoenix, being the eldest by some thousands of years, was entitled to the first peep, but... Excuse me, it said, ruffling its golden feathers and sneezing softly. Looking through keyholes always gives me a cold in my golden eyes. So Cyril looked. I see something grey moving, said he. It's a zoological garden of some sort, I bet, said Robert, when they'd taken his turn. And the soft rustling, bustling, riffling, scuffling, shuffling, fluffling noise went on inside. The underside made in Roulier. Ha ha! Yes! Oh, that would be brilliant. I can't see anything, said Anthea. My eye tickles so. Then Jane's turn came, and she put her eye to the keyhole. It's a giant kitty cat, she said, and it's asleep all over the floor. Giant cats are tigers. Father said so. No, he didn't. He said tigers were giant cats. It's not at all the same thing. It's no use sending the carpet to fetch precious things for you if you're afraid to look at them when they come, said the Phoenix sensibly. And Cyril, being the eldest, said, "Come on," and turned the handle. The gas had been left on full after tea, and everything in the room could be plainly seen by the 10 eyes at the door. At least, not everything, for though the carpet was there, but it was invisible, because it was completely covered by the 199 beautiful objects which it had brought from its birthplace. My hat, Silver remarked. I never thought about it being a Persian carpet. Phoenix, it's the least sensible thing ever to tell these children in particular. Yes. Yet it was now plain that it was so. For the beautiful objects which it had brought back were cats. Persian cats, grey Persian cats, and they were, as I have said, 199 of them. And they were sitting on the carpet as close as they could get to each other. But the moment the children entered the room, the cats rose and stretched and spread and overflowed from the carpet to the floor, and in an instant the floor was a sea of moving, mewing pussy... Okay, hang on a minute. Mewing pussishness. And the children with one accord climbed to the table and gathered up their legs, and the people next door knocked on the wall. And indeed, no wonder, for the mews were Persian and piercing. Do not tell the children to be looking at the tiger. It's the carpet trying to kill them. You wouldn't blame it. You reckon the carpet's finally gone feral? It snapped its chain. He's had enough. This is pretty poor sport, said Cyril. What's the matter with the bounders? I imagine they were hungry, said the Phoenix. If you were to feed them... We haven't anything to feed them with, said Anthea in despair, and she stroked the nearest Persian back. Oh, pussies, do be quiet. We can't hear ourselves think. She had to shout this entreaty, for the mews were growing deafening, and it would take pounds and pounds worth of cat's meat. Let's ask the carpet to take them away, said Robert. But the girls said, no. They're so soft and pussy, said Jane. And valuable, said Anthea hastily. We can sell them for lots and lots of money. Oh, Anthea. Why not send the carpet to get food for them, suggested the Phoenix, and its golden voice came harsh and cracked with the effort it had to be made over the increasing fierceness of the Persian mews. So it was written that the carpet should bring food for 199 Persian cats, and the paper was pinned to the carpet as before. You're adult, you're good, you're not snickering like a 12-year-old. I know, I'm not on camera, therefore nobody can see me grinning. I know what words mean. It's fine. I'm a grown-up. The carpet seemed to gather itself together, and the cats dropped off it, as raindrops do from your mackintosh when you shake it, and the carpet disappeared. Unless you've had 199 well-grown Persian cats in one small room, all hungry, and all saying so in unmistakable mews, you can form but a poor idea of the noise that now deafened the children and the Phoenix. The cats did not seem to have been at all properly brought up. They seemed to have no idea of it being mistaken in manners to ask for meals in a strange house, let alone to howl for them. And they mewed, and they mewed, and they mewed, and they mewed, till the children poked their fingers into their ears and waited in silent agony, wondering why the whole of Camden Town did not come knocking at the door to ask what was the matter, and only hoping that the food for the cats would come before the neighbours did, and before all the secret of the carpet and the Phoenix had to be given away beyond recall to an indignant neighbourhood. The cats mewed and twisted their Persian forms in and out and unfolded their Persian tails, and the children and the Phoenix huddled together on the table. The Phoenix, Robert noticed suddenly, was trembling. So many cats, it said, and they might not know I was the Phoenix. These accidents happen so quickly, it quite unmans me. This was a danger of which the children had not thought. Creep in, cried Robert, opening his jacket, and the Phoenix crept in, only just in time. The green eyes had glared, pink noses had sniffed, white whiskers had twitched, and as Robert buttoned his coat, he disappeared to the waist in the wave of eager grey Persian fur. And on the instant the good carpet slapped itself down on the floor, and it was covered with rats. 398 of them, I believe, 2 for each cat. The carpet is officially taking the piss. How horrible, said Anthea. Oh, take them away. Take yourself away, said the Phoenix, and me. I wish we'd never had a carpet, said Anthea in tears. Okay, later, okay. I hope the cat enjoys it vicariously. More rat children to adopt. Phoenix, you'll have to draw straws to see which one of you will be the noble sacrifice of their dinner. These children also have a rat swarm. Yes, they do. It's looking suspiciously like cabmen aside. Basically, these kids are just completely left alone for this whole chapter. And if you wonder what chaos they will commit, well, I think we're seeing it fairly well. They hustled and crowded out of the door and shut it and locked it. Cyril, with great presence of mind, lit a candle, of course he did, because fire, and turned off the gas at the main. The rats will have a better chance in the dark, he said. The mewing had ceased. Everyone listened in breathless silence. We all know that cats eat rats. It's one of the first things we read in our little brown reading books. But all those cats eating all those rats, it wouldn't bear thinking of. Suddenly Robert sniffed in the silence of the dark kitchen, where the only candle was burning all on one side because of the draught. What a funny scent, he said. And as he spoke, a lantern flashed its light through the window of the kitchen. A face peered in, and the voice said, "What's all this row about? You let me in." It was the voice of the police. The idea of these kids meeting a Lovecraftian being is beyond only the webtoon Rules of Rose Ivy Man to your mind. These kids versus Eldritch Being. I'm sorry, Lovecraftian horror would stand no freaking chance. Nuh-uh. Not happening. Robert tiptoed to the window and spoke through the pane that had been a little cracked since Cyril accidentally knocked it with a walking stick when he was playing at balancing it on his nose. It was after they'd been to a circus. What do you mean? He said. There's no row. You listen. Everything's quiet as quiet. And indeed it was. The strange sweet scent got stronger, and the phoenix put out its beak. The policeman hesitated. They're muskrats, said the phoenix. I suppose some cats eat them, but never Persian ones. What a mistake for a well-informed carpet to make. Oh, what a night we're having. Do go away, said Robert nervously. We're just going to bed. That's our bedroom candle. There isn't any row. Everything's as quiet as a mouse. A wild chorus of mews drowned his words, and with the mews were mingled the shrieks of the muskrats. What had happened? Had the cats tasted them before deciding they disliked the flavour? I'm coming in, said the policeman. You've got a cat shut up there. A cat, said Cyril. Oh, my only aunt, a cat. Come on, then, said Robert. It's your own lookout. I advise you not. Wait a shake and I'll undo the side gate. He undid the side gate, and the policeman very cautiously came in. And there in the kitchen, by the light of one candle, with the mewing and all the screaming going on like a dozen steam sirens, 20 waiting on motor cars, and 100 squeaking pumps, 4 agitated voices shouted to the policeman 4 mixed and wholly different explanations of the very mixed events of the evening. Did you ever try to explain the simplest thing to a policeman? Shall I continue? For we are on the next chapter. You had a realization you would have been just as bad as those children. The real Lovecraftian horror of the children that did arson along the way. Yes! So yes, shall I continue to chapter 8? I have tried explaining something to a policeman. For example, I had to explain why somebody had kicked my back door in, fled up into the loft, and was now hiding from two men at the front door who wanted to break my door down. It was very confusing. He kicked the door in while I was in the bath. And this was quite a long time ago. How's my voice? My voice is okay, I just will be drinking a fair bit. Okay, Villa Katzen. Pod Squad it is. Chapter 8. The Cats, the Cow, and the Burglar. Oh dear God. The nursery was full of Persian cats and muskrats that had been brought there by the wishing carpet. The cats were mewing and the muskrats were squeaking so that you could hardly hear yourself speak. In the kitchen were the 4 children, 1 candle, a concealed phoenix, and a very visible policeman. Now then, look here," said the policeman, very loudly, and he pointed his lantern at each child in turn. "What's the meaning of this here yelling and caterwauling? I can tell you've got a cat here, and someone's ill-treating it. What do you mean by it, eh?" It was 5 to 1, counting the phoenix, but the policeman, who was 1, was of unusually fine size, and the 5, including the phoenix, were small. The mews and the squeaks grew softer, and in the comparative silence Cyril said, "It's true, there were a few cats here, but we've not hurt them. It's quite the opposite. We've just fed them." "Don't sound like it," said the policeman grimly. I know, it's a wonderful chapter title, isn't it, Lexi? This whole incident is just deranged, and that's by the standards of the rest of this book. I mean, we had a full cult meeting last week. Or last session. I dare say they're not real cats, said Jane madly. Maybe they're only dream cats. "I'll dream cat you, my lady," was the brief response of the force. "If you understood anything except people who do murders and stealings and naughty things like that, I'd tell you all about it," said Robert. "But I'm certain you don't. You're not meant to shove your oar into people's private cat keepings. You're only supposed to interfere when people shout murder and stop thief in the street. So there." Oh God, Robert displaying absolutely no knowledge of the criminal justice system. Which is really unusual, to be honest. The policeman assured them that he should see about that, and at this point the phoenix, who had been making itself small on the pot shelf underneath the dresser, among the saucepan lids and the fish kettle, walked on tiptoed claws in a noiseless and modest manner, and left the room unnoticed by anyone. I think we can establish that the phoenix in this is the smartest person in the room. "Oh, don't be so horrid," Anthea was saying, gently and earnestly. "We love cats, dear pussy-soft things. We wouldn't hurt them for worlds, would we, pussy?" And Jane answered that of course they wouldn't, and still the policeman seemed unmoved by their eloquence. "Now look here," he said, "I'm going to see what's in that room beyond there, and—" His voice was drowned in a wild burst of mewing and squeaking, and as soon as it died down all 4 children began to explain at once. And though the squeaking and mewing were not at their very loudest, yet there was quite enough of both to make it very hard for the policeman to understand a single word any of the 4 wholly different explanations now poured out to him. "Stow it," said he at last. "I'm going into the next room in the execution of my duty. I'm going to use my eyes. My ears have got off their chumps, what with you and them cats." And he pushed Robert aside and strode through the door. "Don't say I didn't warn you," said Robert. "It's tigers, really," said Jane. "Father said so. I wouldn't go in if I were you." But the policeman was quite stony. Nothing anyone said seemed to make any difference to him. Some policemen are like this, I believe. He strode down the passage, and in another moment he would have been in the room with all the cats and all the rats, Musk. But at the very instant a thin, sharp voice screamed from the street outside, "Murder! Murder! Stop thief!" The policeman stopped, with one regulation boot heavily poised in the air. "Eh?" he said. And again the shriek sounded shrilly and piercingly from the dark street outside. "Come on," said Robert. "Come and look after cats while someone's being killed outside." Robert had an inside feeling that told him quite plainly who it was that was screaming. "You young rip," said the policeman. "I'll settle up with you, Bimby." Bye, Bimby, sorry. And he rushed out, and the children heard his boots going weightily along the pavement, and the screams also going along, rather ahead of the policeman, and both the murder screams and the policeman's boots faded away in the remote distance. Then Robert smacked his knickerbocker loudly with his palm, "I beg your pardon, sir," and said, "Good old Phoenix, I should know its golden voice anywhere." And then everyone understood how cleverly the Phoenix had caught at what Robert had said about the real work of a policeman being to look after murderers and thieves, and not after cats. And all hearts were filled with admiring affection. "But he'll come back," said Anthea mournfully, "as soon as it finds the murderer is only a bright vision of a dream, and there isn't one at all, really." "No, he won't," said the soft voice of the clever Phoenix as it flew in. "He does not know where your house is. I heard him own as much to a fellow mercenary. Oh, what a night we're having! Lock the door and let us rid ourselves of this intolerable smell of the perfume peculiar to the muskrat, and to the house of the trimmers of beards. If you'll excuse me, I'll go to bed. I'm worn out." It was Cyril who wrote the paper that told the carpet to take away the rats and bring milk, because there seemed to be no doubt in any breast that, however Persian cats may be, they must like milk. So many of those words were chosen. Yes, if you haven't encountered this before, Lexi, what do you reckon to this children's classic from 1904? I do not remember it being this wild in the TV or movie adaptations. "Let's hope it won't be musk milk," said Anthea in the gloom, as she pinned the paper face downwards on the carpet. "Is there such a thing as a musk cow?" she added anxiously as the carpet shriveled and vanished. "I do hope not, because really it would have been wiser to let the carpet take the cats away. It's getting quite late, and we can't keep them all night." "Oh, can't we?" said the bitter rejoinder of Robert, who had been fastening the side door. "You might have consulted me," he went on. "I'm not such an idiot as some people." "Why, whatever. Don't you see, we've jolly well got to keep the cats all night. Oh, get down, you furry beasts, because we've had 3 wishes out of the old carpet now, and we can't get any more till tomorrow." The liveliness of Persian mews alone prevented the occurrence of a dismal silence. Anthea spoke first. "Never mind," she said. "You know, I really do think they're quieting down a bit. Perhaps they heard us say milk." "They can't understand English," said Jane. "You forget they're Persian cats, Panther." "Well," said Anthea rather sharply, for she was tired and anxious, "who told you milk wasn't Persian for milk? Lots of English words are just the same in French. At least I know meow is, and croquet and fiancé. Oh, pussies, do be quiet. Let's stroke them as hard as we can with both hands, and perhaps they'll stop." Oh, dear God. Sorry. I know. I don't think, let's face it, we've established they don't really speak much French as of last chapter. They only got away with the situation because the woman they were speaking to in France spoke English. Oh, Techie, your timing is absolutely fantastic. Yeah, as is croquet, of course. Meow isn't, because I remember my French textbooks, and yeah, it's written completely differently to English. So everyone stroked Grey Fur till their hands were tired, and as soon as a cat had been stroked enough to make it stop mewing, it was pushed gently away. Another mewing mouser was approached by the hands of the strokers. "Mate, they're Persians. They are not hunters." Yeah, whereas UK it tends to be MEOW as opposed to MIAOU for roughly the same noise. Oh dear. And the noise was really more than half purr when the carpet suddenly appeared in its proper place, and on it, instead of rows of milk cans or even of milk jugs, there was a cow. Not a Persian cow either, nor, most fortunately, a musk cow, if there is such a thing, but a smooth, sleek, dun-coloured Jersey cow who blinked large soft eyes at the gaslight and mooed in an amiable, if rather inquiring manner. Anthea had always been afraid of cows, because Anthea has a brain. But now she tried to be brave. Anyway, it can't run after me, she said to herself. There isn't room for it even to begin to run. The cow was perfectly placid. She behaved like a strayed duchess till someone brought a saucer for the milk, and someone else tried to milk the cow into it. Milking is very difficult. You may think it's easy, but it is not. All the children were, by this time, strung up to a pitch of heroism that would have been impossible to them in their ordinary condition. Robert and Cyril held the cow by the horns, and Jane, when she was quite sure that their end of the cow was quite secure, consented to stand by, ready to hold the cow by the tail should occasion arise. Anthea, holding the saucer, now advanced towards the cow. She remembered to have heard that cows, when milked by strangers, are susceptible to the soothing influence of the human voice. So, clutching her saucer very tight, she sought for words to whose soothing influences the cow might be susceptible. And her memory, troubled by the events of the night, which seemed to go on for ever and ever, refused to help her with any form of words suitable to address a Jersey cow in. That is a perfectly normal English sentence that I never expected to hear myself say. This whole night is just an absolute fever dream in a deranged LSD trip of a book. Love it. "Oh, pussy, then, lie down, then. Good dog, lie down," was all she could think of to say, and she said it. And nobody laughed. The situation, full of grey mewing cats, was too serious for that. Then Anthea, with a beating heart, tried to milk the cow. Next moment the cow had knocked the saucer out of her hand and trampled on it with one foot, while with the other three she had walked on a foot each of Robert, Cyril, and Jane. Jane burst into tears. "Oh, how horrid, too much horrid everything is," she cried. "Come away, let's go to bed and leave the horrid cats with that hateful cow. Perhaps somebody will eat someone else and serve them right." They did not go to bed, but they had a shivering council in the drawing-room, which smelt of soot, and indeed a heap of this lay in the fender. There had been no fire in the room since Mother went away, and all the chairs and tables were in the wrong places, and the chrysanthemums were dead, and the water in the pot nearly dried up. Anthea wrapped the embroidered woolly sofa blanket round Jane and herself, while Robert and Cyril had a struggle, silent and brief, but fierce, for the larger share of the fur hearthrug. "It's most truly awful," said Anthea, "and I am so tired. Let's let the cats loose." "And the cow too, perhaps," said Cyril. "Police will find us at once. That cow would stand at the gate and moo, to come in. And so would the cats. No, I see quite well what we've got to do. We must put them in baskets and leave them on people's doorsteps like orphan foundlings." "We've got 3 baskets, counting Mother's work one," said Jane, brightening. "And there are nearly 200 cats," said Anthea, "beside the cow, and it would have to be a different sized basket for her. And then I don't know how you'd carry it, and you'd never find a doorstep big enough to put it on, except the church one. And—" "Oh, well," said Cyril, "if you're going to simply make difficulties—" "I'm with you," said Robert. "Don't fuss about the cow, Panther. It's simply got to stay the night, and I'm sure that I've read the cow's a remunerating creature, and that means it will sit still and think for hours. The carpet can take it away in the morning, and as for the baskets, we'll do them up in dusters or pillowcases or bath towels. Come on, squirrels, you girls can be out of it if you like." His tone was full of contempt, but Jane and Anthea were too tired and desperate to care. Even being out of it, which at other times they could not have borne, now seemed quite a comfort. They snuggled down in the sofa blanket, and Cyril threw the fur hearthrug over them. "Ah," he said, "that's all women are fit for, to keep safe and warm while the men do the work and run dangers and risks and things." "I'm not," said Anthea. "You know I'm not." But Cyril was gone. Civil. Asshole. It was warm under the blanket and the hearthrug, and Jane snuggled up close to her sister. And Anthea cuddled Jane closely and kindly, and in this sort of dream they heard the rise of a wave of mewing. Yes, I think it's normally Robert, but it's Cyril's turn to be a tit this week. He's doing that whole performing as he thinks a man ought to, but he's also a kid who really doesn't have much idea past his books. And these are the same books, I would remind you, that taught them that anybody on an island is probably a cannibal. These kids need a better library. In a sort of dream they heard the rise of a wave of mewing as Robert opened the door of the nursery. They heard the booted search for baskets in the back kitchen. They heard the side door open and close, and they knew that each brother had gone out with at least one cat. Anthea's last thought was that it would take at least all night to get rid of 199 cats by twos. There would be 99 journeys of 2 cats each, and 1 cat over. They're doing pretty well for kids who obviously have no parents. They do have a mother and a father. Their father has turned up, I think, twice. The mother, maybe 3 times. And is more interested in their baby, who could be anywhere between 18 months and about 3. You want to adopt them more, not less. Fair enough. I almost think we might keep the 1 cat over, said Anthea. I don't seem to care for cats just now, but I dare say I shall again some day. And she fell asleep. Jane was also sleeping. It was Jane who woke with a start to find Anthea still asleep. As, in the act of awakening, she had kicked her sister, she wondered idly why they should have gone to bed in their boots. But the next moment she remembered where they were. There was a sound of muffled, shuffled feet on the stairs. Like the heroine of the classic poem, Jane thought it was the boys, and she felt quite wide awake, not nearly so tired as before. She crept gently from Anthea's side and followed the footsteps. They went down into the basement. The cats, who seemed to have fallen into the sleep of exhaustion, awoke at the sound of the approaching footsteps and mewed piteously. Jane was at the foot of the stairs before she saw it was not her brothers whose coming had aroused her, and the cats, but a burglar. She knew he was a burglar at once, because he wore a fur cap and a red and black charity check comforter, and he had no business where he was. If you had been stood in Jane's shoes, you would no doubt have run away in them, appealing to the police and neighbours with horrid screams. But Jane knew better. She had read a great many nice stories about burglars, as well as some affecting pieces of poetry, and she knew that no burglar will ever hurt a little girl if he meets her when burgling. Indeed, in all the cases Jane had read of his burglarishness was almost as once forgotten in the interest he felt in the little girl's artless prattle. So if Jane hesitated for a moment before addressing the burglar, it was only because she could not at once think of any remark sufficiently prattling and artless to make a beginning with. In the stories and the affecting poetry, the child could never speak plainly, though it also always looked old enough to be in the pictures. Always looked old enough to in the pictures. And Jane could not make up her mind to lisp and baby talk even to a burglar. And while she hesitated, he softly opened the nursery door and went in. Jane followed, just in time to see him sit face flat on the floor, scattering cats as a stone thrown into a pool splashes water. She closed the door softly and stood there, still wondering whether she could bring herself to say, "What's you doing here, Mr. Robber?" and whether any kind of other talk would do it. And we have an ad break. So, if you have ads, now's the time to have a quick stretch and a cup of tea. If you don't have ads, thank you for subscribing, or being somewhere with either an ad blocker or a country that's not showing them. What do we think of the kids this week? I'd say they haven't set fire to anything, but they did go around and light all the gas lamps. And I have great concerns for these gas lamps in the house. Oh, I pay for your sub. Yeah. I don't judge who pay for whose sub. The kids are great. The kids are fascinating. They really are. They're just the most feral little middle-class children you've ever encountered. I know you've not seen much of this, so what I am thinking of doing after this book is going to the first episode, first part of this trilogy, which is 5 Children in It, when they are sent off to a country house of a relative on their own, largely unsupervised, and encounter a wish-granting fairy. One way to describe them. Krona, you're being all judgmental. I mean, what would you do with 199 Persian cats? I mean, apart from possibly stage dive. They're perfect little babies who've never done anything wrong. Oh, good Lord, bless your heart. They kidnapped their cook. The universe just keeps getting their wish granted. Yes. Yes, they kidnapped their cook, whilst kidnapping their baby brother, the lamb, to try and stop his whooping cough. They brainwashed a lady. Yep. They did indeed. They brainwashed a poor lady who's never been the same since. And you can say she's much nicer as much as you like. They brainwashed the poor woman. And as I said last week, the Phoenix brainwashed the entire staff of an insurance office into committing a right in its honour. So, obviously the Phoenix has got no ground to stand on. It was when they were using the company chants, the company's slogans and mottos and such, as the basis of ritualistic chants. I just decided that was beautiful. Okay. And if you were of an ad break persuasion, it's now over. And if you weren't, it's still now over. Back to the book. Then she heard the burglar draw a long breath, and he spoke. "It's a judgment," he said. "So help me, Bob, if it ain't. Always a thing to happen to a chap. Makes it come home to you, don't it neither? Cats and cats and cats. There couldn't be all them cats. Let alone the cow, if she ain't the mole of the old man's Daisy. She's a dream out of when I was a lad. I don't mind her so much. Here, Daisy, Daisy." The cow turned and looked at him. "She's all right," he went on. "Sort of company, too. Though them above knows how she got into this downstairs parlour. But them cats, oh, take 'em away, take 'em away. I'll chuck the old show, I'll take 'em away." "Burglar," said Jane, close behind him, and he started convulsively and turned on her a blank face. His pale lips trembled. "I can't take those cats away." "Oh, lummy," exclaimed the man, "if here ain't another one of 'em. Are you real, miss, or something I'll wake up from presently?" "I'm quite real," said Jane, relieved to find that a lisp was not needed to make the burglar understand her. "And so," she added, "are the cats." "Then send for the police, and I'll go quiet. If you ain't no realer than them cats, I'm done, spung chunk. Out of time. Send for the police, I'll go quiet. One thing, there'd not be room for half them cats in those cells as ever I see." He ran his fingers through his hair, which was short, and his eyes wandered wildly round the room full of cats. Burglar, said Jane, kindly and softly. If you didn't like cats, what did you come here for? Then for the police, was the unfortunate criminal's only reply. I'd rather you would, honest, I'd rather. I daren't, said Jane. Besides, I've no one to send. I hate the police. I wish he'd never been born. You've a feeling heart, miss, said the burglar, but them cats is really little bit too thick. Look here, said Jane, I won't call the police, and I am quite a real little girl, though I talk older than the kind you've met before when you've been doing your burglings. And they are real cats, and they want real milk, and didn't you say the cat was like somebody's Daisy that you used to know? Well, I wish I may die if she ain't the very spit of her, replied the man. Well then, said Jane, and a thrill of joyful pride ran through her. Perhaps you know how to milk cows? Perhaps I does, was the burglar's cautious rejoinder. Then, said Jane, if you will only milk ours, you don't know how shall always love you. The burglar replied that loving was all very well. If those cats only had a good, long, wet, thirsty drink of milk, said Jane went on with eager persuasion, they'd lie down and go to sleep as likely as not, and then the police won't come back. But if you go on mewing like this, he will, and then I don't know what'll become of us or you either. Ah, emotional blackmail, Jane. Well done. Nice one. Also, given that cats are generally speaking lactose intolerant, I think feeding 199 Persian cats Jersey cow's milk might leave you with something to clean up in the morning. Sort of in an Aegean stables kind of way. This argument seemed to decide the criminal. Jane fetched the washbowl from the sink, and he spat on his hands and prepared to milk the cow. At this instant, boots were heard on the stairs. It's all up, said the man desperately. This is a plant. Here's the police. He made as if to open the window and leap from it. It's all right, I tell you, whispered Jane in anguish. I'll say you're a good friend of mine, or the good clergyman called in, or my uncle, or anything. Only do milk the cow. Oh, don't go. Oh, thank goodness it's only the boys. In the morning, believe me, the smell will wake you before you do that. Yeah. Oh, yes. Familiar with that. It was, and their entrance had wakened an Anthea, who, with her brothers, now crowded through the doorway. The man looked about him like a rat looks around a trap. This is a friend of mine, said Jane. He's just called in and he's going to milk the cow for us. Isn't it good and kind of him? She winked at the others, and though they did not understand, they played up loyally. I'll do, said Cyril. Very glad to meet you. Don't let us interrupt the milking. I shall have a head and a half in the morning, and no blooming error, remarked the burglar, but he began to milk the cow. Robert was winked at to stay and see that he did not leave off milking or try to escape, and the others went to get things to put the milk in. It was now spurting and foaming in the washbowl, and the cats had ceased from mewing and were crowding round the cow, with expressions of hope and anticipation on their whiskered faces. We can't get rid of any more cats, said Cyril, as he and his sisters piled a tray high with saucers and soup plates, and platters and pie dishes. The police nearly got us as it was. Not the same one, a much stronger sort. He thought it was really a foundling orphan we got. If it hadn't been for me throwing the 2 bags of cats slap in his eyes and hauling Robert over a railing and lying like mice under a laurel bush, well, it's jolly lucky I'm a good shot, that's all. He pranced off when he got the cat bags off his face. Thought we'd bolted, and here we are. The gentle samishness of the milk swishing into the handbowl seemed to have soothed the burglar very much. He went on milking in a sort of happy dream, while the children got a cap and ladled the warm milk out into the pie dishes and plates and platters and saucers and set them down to the music of Persian purrs and lappings. It makes me think of old times, said the burglar, smearing his ragged coat cuff across his eyes, about the apples in the orchard at home, and the rats at threshing time, and the rabbits and the ferrets, and how pretty it was seeing the pigs killed. Fuck. Oh, yeah, that never makes it into the adaptations, does it? Finding him in this softened mood, Jane said, "I wish you'd tell us how you came to choose our house for your burglaring tonight. I'm awfully glad you did. You've been so kind. I don't know what we should have done without you," she added hastily. "We all love you ever so. Do tell us." The others added their affectionate entreaties, and at last the burglar said, "Why, it's my first job, and I didn't expect to be made so welcome. And that's the truth, young gents and ladies. And I don't know but what it won't be my last, for this here cow, she reminds me of my father, and I know how he'd divided me if he'd laid hands on me, and a penny wasn't my own." "I'm sure he would," agreed Jane kindly, "but what made you come here?" "Well, miss," said the burglar, "you best know how you came by them cats, and why you don't like the police, so I'll give myself away free and trust to your noble arts. You'd best bail out a bit, the pan's getting fullish." "I was a selling oranges off my barrow, for I ain't a burglar by trade, though you'd have used the name so free. And there was a lady bought three ha'porth of me, and when she was a picking them out, very careful indeed, and I'm always glad when them sort get a few overripe ones, there was two other ladies talking over the fence, and one of them said to the other one, over here just like this, 'I've told both girls to come, and they can doss in with Mariah and Jane, 'cause their boss and his missus is miles away, and the kids too. They can just lock up the house and leave the gas burning so no one won't know, and just get back bright and early by 11 o'clock, and we'll make a night of it, Mrs. Prosser, so we will. I'm just going to run out to pop the letters in the post, and then the lady what was chosen all the... Oh, sorry. I'm just going to run out to pop the letters in the post. And then the lady what had chosen all the three ha'porths so careful, she said, "Lor, Mrs. Wigson, I wonder at you, and your hands are all over suds. This good gentleman will slip it in the post for you, I'll be bound, seeing as I'm a customer of his." So they gave me the letter, and of course I read the direction which was written on it before I shoved it into my post. And then, when I'd sold my barrowful, I was going home with a chink in my pocket, and I blowed if some blooming thieving beggar didn't nick the lot while I was just wetting my whistle, for calling of oranges is dry work. Nick the blooming lot he did, and left me with not a farthing to take home to my brother and his missus. "How awful," said Anthea, with much sympathy. "Awful indeed, miss, I believe you," the burglar rejoined with deep feeling. "You don't know her temper when she's roused, and I assure you hope that you may never, neither. And I had all my oranges off of 'em. So it came to me what was wrote on the envelope, and I says to myself, why not, seeing as I've been done myself, and if they keep two slavies there must be some pickings. And so here I am. But them cats, they brought me back to the way of honestness, never no more." "Look here," said Cyril, "the cats are very valuable, very indeed, and we'll give them all to you if only you'll take them away." "I see they're a breedy lot," replied the burglar, "but I don't want no bother with the coppers. Did you come by them honest now, straight?" "They're all our very own," said Anthea. "We wanted them, but the consignment, whispered Cyril, was larger than we wanted, and they're an awful bother. If you got your barrow and some sacks and baskets, your brother's missus will be awfully pleased. My father says Persian cats are worth pounds and pounds each." "Well," said the burglar, and he was certainly moved by the remarks, "I see you're in a hole, and I don't mind lending a helping hand. I didn't ask how you came by them, but I've got a pal, he's a mark on cats. I'll fetch him along, and if he thinks they'll fetch anything above their skins, I don't mind doing you a kindness." "You won't go away and never come back?" said Jane, "because I don't think I could bear that." The burglar, quite touched by her emotion, swore sentimentally that, alive or dead, he would come back. Then he went, and Cyril and Robert sent the girls to bed, and sat up to wait for his return. It soon seemed absurd to await him in a state of wakefulness, but his stealthy tap on the window awoke them readily enough. For he did return, with the pal and the barrow and the sacks. The pal approved of the cats, now dormant in Persian repletion, and they were bundled into the sacks and taken away on the barrow, mewing indeed, but with mews too sleepy to attract public attention. "I'm a fence, that's what I am," said the burglar gloomily. "I never thought I'd come down to this, nor because of my kind heart." Cyril knew that a fence is a receiver of stolen goods, and he replied briskly, "I give you my sacred cats, the cats aren't stolen." "What do you make the time?" Sorry, I have the wrong voice there. I give you my sacred, the cats aren't stolen. What do you make the time? I ain't got the time on me, said the pal, but it was just about chucking out time as I come past the Bull and Gate. I shouldn't wonder if it was nigh upon 1 now. When the cats had been removed and the boys and the burglar had parted with warm expressions of friendship, there remained only the cow. She must stay all night. Cook'll have a fit when she sees her. All night, said Cyril. Why, it's tomorrow morning if it's 1. We can have another wish. So the carpet was urged, in a hastily written note, to remove the cow to wherever she belonged, and to return to its proper place in the nursery floor. But the cow could not be got to move on to the carpet. So Robert got the clothesline out of the back kitchen and tied one end very firmly to the cow's horns, and the other end to a bunched-up corner of the carpet, and said, "Fire away." The carpet and the cow vanished together, and the boys went to bed, tired out, and only too thankful that the evening was at last over. Next morning the carpet lay calmly in its place, but one corner was very badly torn. It was the corner that the cow had been tied onto. Okay, so Lexia, it's Cyril as the oldest boy. I think Robert is the next oldest. He's certainly the next oldest boy. Anthea's the eldest girl. And then you've got Jane, who I think is about 11, 12. And then you've got, so not appearing in most of this book, the lamb, who is somewhere between 18 months and 3 years old. Because he's walking, but he's babbly as a baby. And he is most often seen dressed up in, well, that's the age I judge them at. I may be wrong. Yes, the lamb is most often seen in a coachman's jacket and a little tricorn hat. Yeah. Basically, yeah, it's pirate or coachman. So, I think we will call that there for tonight. That was one of the most deranged sections I have ever read in my life. And I think we can all safely say that the cats were sold on to homes as pets. So no need to worry about them turning up as cheap fur coats. Being pedigree Persians, they're worth more money. And status symbols. And why are they all the same colour? That's what mystifies me. Where the hell do you get 199 identical Persian cats? That's just worrying. Also, I choose to believe that the 2 that Cyril threw at the policeman were rescued by said policeman and became the station cats at the local station house. Secret Persian cloning facilities. Yes, it's the only explanation. Right, so that was weird. Even by the context of this book, that was bleeding strange. So, next week, it looks like we haven't seen the last of the burglar. Because next week is Chapter 9, The Burglar's Bride. So that should be interesting. It looks like he's going to come back. But at least it is the next morning. So, thank you very much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope the ad breaks weren't too intrusive. Now I know how they work, I'll be able to manage them a little bit better. And I think stopping for... Sorry, Molly. I think stopping for book discussion while the ad break runs works reasonably well. Um, I just wish I'd realised that it was going to be at the top of the hour instead of the back end of the hour. Okay, so Thursday we are going to be back on the thaumaturge. No, no need to apologise, Moliere. Work is a thing, and it's a hell of a thing for you. And you have missed some absolute fever dreamage of criminal activity involving lying to police officers, making friends with burglars, kidnapping a cow and 199 Persian cats, who have mostly been sold to a fence. Possibly someone from a market stall. It all got a bit confused towards the end. So yes, Thursday I will be back with the thaumaturge. And we are going to be engaged in attempting to find out how to get rid of this gosh darned golem. I hope. So that's going to be joy. And on Sunday, we're going to have another go at the final part of the liminal quick play, sorry. And vampire chasing. So, thank you very much for watching. If you would like to support the channel and you're not already doing so, if you're on YouTube, you can drop me a subscription, and that would help validate my existence. Follow on Twitch, and if you feel like being commercial, kofi.com/Druttercup is the best way to get some money into my pocket so that I can do things like pay the bills. So, thank you very much indeed, and I am going to go away and have a quiet lie down. No, I'm not. If you are on my Discord, then poke your nose into my channel in a minute, and you will find out what else I'm going to be doing this evening. And I hope that if any of you are around, you'll stick around and have a chat. So, good night. I will see you in a bit.